Hello, beloved listeners, and welcome to Snake People at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. It's the podcast where we talk about growing up and living queer, nerdy, and depressed online and at the cinema. From the kids who do their own stunts, just like Buster Keaton, it's Sneeple at the Movies. I'm Helena.
And I'm Maddie. You've got just the two of us this week. Ezra got eaten by animatronic dinosaur, but it's okay. We will recover them in time for the next episode, but for the time being, they're just kind of, they're dealing with the aftermath of that. It's very traumatic, so we'll get them back eventually. Anyway, we're talking about practical effects.
Practical effects versus CGI, or just I guess we kind of get into that.
Sort of versus the cost benefit of practical versus CGI. I think we'll probably talk about like CGI does have its benefits. I think in literal episode 1 of this podcast, I was like, look, CGI has a purpose and it's a specific one. Stop using it for everything. This is part 2 of that. Probably. But first, we'll do a what we've seen. I'll go first. I saw Jaws. That was it.
That's it.
But it was the first time I had seen Jaws, so I really, really liked it, and it tied into what we're watching. Also, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake, with 2 of my dear friends. That's mostly what I've been doing off my off days. I've been real busy. I've been doing things basically every single night. We can't go outside, and I'm so busy, so look at me, Mr. Popular.
That's rough.
I'm literally watching Jaws again tonight, maybe.
Yay.
So
that makes me
excited.
Happy.
Yeah. I'm watching it with, I just saw your note. I'm watching it with Higu and Stan. They both love that movie. Yeah. They were like, can we watch Jaws? And I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah, we can watch Jaws.
That's what I see. Where do I start? I watched Dial M for Murder for the first time.
I was going to say, can I clarify, have you never seen that?
I have never seen it before.
I love that movie.
It's so enjoyable. It starts out really goofy, and I was thinking, this is going to be one of his goofier ones. But and it's still goofy, because it literally ends with a dude, like, combing his mustache. But, like, it's still very good and surprisingly brutal, to the actual murder scene itself is like, holy crap.
Yeah, I saw it when I was in middle school.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we all have that one. I saw Rear Window when I was in middle school, I think, too, and I was like,
yeah. Good movie.
Yeah, it's very good. I rewatched Jaws with everybody. We did a party watch, I guess, or a party stream or whatever. That was very fun. I always love seeing that. I rewatched Paddington 2 as part of my Rotten Tomatoes challenge, which was like, we said we were going to do back in like August.
Yeah, and then life kind of caught up with all of us.
Yeah, things just sort of happened. Part of the reason that I've been putting it off is because, like, I chose Hugh Grant. And Paddington 2 is the highest rated movie of his on Rotten Tomatoes. I had seen it at that point quite recently, so it felt kind of weird rewatching it again already. And also, it's not available to stream anywhere. I had to rent it on YouTube. So I was kind of like, I was kind of like, well, I mean, I have to go and get it at Movie Madness, but I just went to Movie Madness to get it, and then when I started actually thinking about it, the Movie Madness is closed, so I can't go there. But I just rented it on YouTube because it was really cheap, and I had a very good time, and I was slightly tipsy. Not slightly. I was actually quite...
I was going to say, I believe drunk. You were quite drunk, weren't you?
I was quite drunk in a way that I was not expecting. I made myself a martini. That's one of the things that I've been doing to like pass the time, is like learn how to make different cocktails and stuff. So I made a Vesper martini.
Ooh.
And it was quite tasty, but it's very strong. So I was drunk while watching Paddington 2, but it made the experience all the more enjoyable. I watched the Andrew Haigh film 45 Years, which was good. It was a bit slow for me. I think in a way that I probably expected. But it was still quite good. I just don't know if it hit me in an emotional way that I was kind of hoping it would. He also did the other film, his first movie, Weekend, which I love very deeply and own on DVD, and which does hit me in a very emotional way. I also watched John Wick 3 for the first time, which was very fun. The boys. We watched National Treasure just because I could. That was fun. Watched Certified Copy on the Criterion Channel, which was good. It was good. It was very well done. You should never read the description of a movie before watching it when the movie is described as being mind-bending, because as much as you're like trying to not think about that during the film, that fucking phrase is going to just keep repeating in your head for me over and over again, like mind-bending. Where's the mind bend? What's the twist? Where's it going to happen? And the twist in Certified Copy is so subtle that it's almost not a twist. I mean, it is, but it's
mind
so subtle that
nudged rather than mind bent.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well done because of that. But also, I think I was focusing too much on my expectations of it, and I'd like to see it again. I had an acting teacher in school that used to talk about movies sometimes, and he was like, "You should never. I don't think that anybody should watch movies with expectations, or you should watch them without expectations, because then you're just carrying all that extra baggage with it to the movie." We probably have talked about this before on the podcast.
Probably, but
my God,
good
it's so right. Yeah, I'm just like, it was just so hard to do, obviously, because social media is so prevalent.
Oh yeah.
But I felt that last night because I just wanted to enjoy the movie. And then on Wednesday, Leia and I watched on Hoopla, but you can also do this on YouTube if you're interested. We watched the original Broadway production of Into the Woods because on Sunday, the 90th, Sondheim's 90th birthday concert, which was hosted and kind of organized by the actor Raul Esparza, was on YouTube after much
I didn't realize that
consternation.
he was the one who was... Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, he
cute.
Is so adorable, and it was so.
It
was like they got it together, and it was like being hosted through BroadwayWorld.com, and he got like all of these like huge stars, and also like just smaller stars as well. Yeah, I mean it's like we're talking like Bernadette Peters and Patti LuPone and like all of that, and then also just like, you know, Aaron
Gyllenhaal was there,
and Jake Gyllenhaal, and some other people that I didn't know, but who have done a lot of Sondheim shows and are big Broadway actors. And, you know, the stream started, or the recording started, and he was in the bottom left hand of the screen, and he was talking, but he was muted. And so it went through like 5 different versions of like trying to get the stream to work on YouTube.
That's very funny.
And we were just like waiting for it to happen. And we were all like, this is just Broadway. This is just theater. It's fine. Like, we knew this was probably going to happen. But eventually, thankfully, they got it working. And they did all the musical numbers, and various people came in, performed songs that they wanted to prepare for it. And it was very moving and very sad. Not sad like in a bad way, but sad in a good way. And one of the numbers, of course, was a lot of the songs were from Into the Woods. And Chip Zien, who played the baker in the original Broadway production of Into the Woods, sang No More.
I was literally just like, did anyone do No More?
Yeah, he did No More. And in his, like, he talked a little bit about Stephen Sondheim, you know, calling him Steve and everything, which a bunch of them did beforehand, and then sang the song in his living room. And at the end of it, he reached over and he pulled this piece of fabric out, and it was the hat that he wore as the baker in the original production, and he just kind of held it to his heart and was like, thank you, you know. And it was like, oh my God. It was really moving, and it just really felt like he chose that song. I'm projecting, of course, but it really felt like he understood what that song, the meaning that song could have right now, and it was really, really sweet. Yeah, a lot of crying to be had. So we really wanted to watch Into the Woods, so we did, and it's great. Everybody should watch it. because it's really good, and the movie adaptation just sucks shit.
It's not.
It's just so bad. And there's something like the acting in the original is just so good, and it's so like just I'm trying to think of what the word is. I mean, the technique is just so wonderful. I've always been nervous about watching it. This was my first time actually watching it all the way through because I have been like, yeah, it's like it's into the woods, and I'm nervous that there's going to be some weird thing that I'm going to be embarrassed or cringy about the way that I sometimes are. But it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, it's a professional production, and these people are just like top of their game, just making it look so easy and having a great time. Yeah, it's fantastic. And that's what I've seen.
Yeah, just to get into the Woods, just so quick.
Yeah.
I think Into the Woods is my favorite musical, which I know is quite a thing to say. But it has been for my dad did a production of it when I was in middle school, and it just always stuck with me. And I was thinking literally earlier today about how you get to the end of Act 1 and you're like, oh yeah, this rules. Like, everything's great, everything's going good, all the shitty people got what they deserved. And then the narrator says to be continued, and you're like, what? And then I remember watching it with my dad, and my dad was like, yeah, there's an Act 2. And I was like, what? And then the narrator dies in the second act, and that's when you're like,
it's
what?
So brutal. It was great watching it too with an audience, because the audience was reacting perfectly to everything, and the way that, like, when shit got real, which starts kind of like, there's a moment in the opening number which is mostly fun times and like exposition, and then there's that moment where Cinderella is doing the stepsister's hair, and then one of them suddenly just like slaps her really hard,
yeah,
and it's like, oh, and like the music stops, and like the audience was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like when the narrator dies, it's like it like happens so suddenly, because it's like the narrator dies, and then Jack's mom dies, and then Rapunzel dies, like in quick succession. Like all of those things happen, and it's like, and there's no music, and you're like, oh my god.
And when you're listening to the cast album, I realized that you have Moment in the Woods, when the baker's wife is like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna find my husband again. But like, moments in the, life is made of moments, blah, blah, blah. And then literally the beginning of the next song is Your Fault. And the first line is like, it's all your fault that my wife is dead. And you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
Holy So if you don't know the musical, it's like, oh, she died abruptly in there.
Yeah.
You're just like, she sure does.
The number finishes, and she's like wandering, and all of a sudden, like, she's just falls into a chasm.
You hear her scream. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's so brutal. And she's so, Joanna Gleason plays the baker's wife in the original, and is like so like charming and wonderful, and and she's really funny too, and her and the baker have great chemistry, so you're really rooting for them in the entire show, and they're like also like the most normal, like modern characters in the show, like where everybody else is kind of like a fairy tale character. They're very kind of like almost contemporary characters.
Yes,
so
agreed.
When she dies, it's just kind of like cool.
Yeah, it's very abrupt. Yeah. Anyway, so that's why I love for cast recordings, I have a very specific fondness for the 2002 revival. But the original Broadway production is so goddamn good. Even if you're not a musical theater person, I would say it's worth watching. It's worth listening to, just because it's such an interesting piece of media.
Yeah.
And
it's well done theater.
Also, the last 3 songs make me cry almost every fucking time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was weeping. We'll get into it when we talk about practical effects, funnily enough.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's get into it. So, where do you want to start? Both of us just went off. We have like 5 pages here. 5 pages. 4. 4 and a touch.
Well, I've been yapping my maw for about a good 10 minutes or so. Why don't you go ahead? Do you want to?
Sure, yeah. Well, it's hard because there's a lot. Okay, well, let's start when I was thinking about what do we want to talk about this episode, I was thinking about Jaws, and I was thinking about Jurassic Park. Which are two movies I've seen relatively recently that are both, I think, considered some pretty big cornerstones of what practical effects could really do. And for Jaws, obviously, I didn't see it until a couple weeks ago. And therefore, I'm coming at it from a modern perspective, and there are points near the end where you see the shark a little too long, and you're like, yeah, that looks like a little goofy. That being said, that does not detract from seeing that shark underwater and going, oh, that's 25 feet. There are boats that are 20 feet long. You know, that is not an unusual size for a sailboat, is 20 feet. So that there's a shark that's 25 feet is, like, fucking barf worthy almost. It's just, like, so big. And the fact that you could talk about this more, obviously, the troubles they had with the shark, with Bruce, which is so, I love that they named the shark. But it's still so, it works so well. Even, you know, what is it, 40 years later? Something like that? It was 75, so...
yeah, 75.
Right about. 45 years later, it still looks pretty fucking sick. And same with the dinosaur, the T-Rex specifically, though there's a Triceratops?
Oh, it's been so long since
Is that what that dinosaur is?
Which one?
There's the dinosaur that they find in the field that's sick.
Oh, that's a Triceratops.
That's a Triceratops, yes. Which is the one that you see up close for long periods, which is, I think, only half of it is, like, actually a puppet. I don't know if they made the whole thing. But, like, they spent a lot of time standing right next to that dinosaur's face and, like, checking its eyes and checking its mouth. And it looks real. It looks real, but that is absolutely a fucking mechanical puppet thing. And the T-Rex also is obviously, like, you know, looking at it now, obviously you're like, yeah, that T-Rex is not real. You can tell that it is not real, but it still is so incredibly lifelike. This is one of my favorite stories about Jurassic Park is when they were on the set. They had that thing that was fucking clunky and awful, just, like, hanging out, and it was all mechanics, so parts of it would just kind of glitch out sometimes. And no one was touching it. They were all doing their other shit, and the mechanics just glitched out, and the dinosaur moved, and everyone lost their goddamn shit. People were, like, fucking screaming, because even though they all know it's a puppet, it looked so real, and it moved in such a way that was so, like, truly animalistic. It's amazing that they were able to pull that off, and the Triceratops. They both look so good. Fucking all these years later, 26 years later. And
arguably more terrifying, I think, because they're not realistic. Because, I mean, if from what we know about dinosaurs now, or specifically like T-Rexes, it's like that tweet that's like, I can't remember what it is, but it's like, oh, they're so cool, and paleontologists are actually like, well, they probably had, like, dopey, like, wings like a bird, and they had this and this and that, and they wore socks with sandals and that kind of thing. Like, you know, maybe a real T-Rex probably would still be terrifying because they would be much bigger than us, and they would try and eat us, maybe. But the specific way that, like, the cultural image of what a T-Rex is and how it's
the 1993 vision of a T-Rex that is presented in Jurassic Park is goddamn terrifying.
Yeah.
I think partially... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think partially because it is an animal, you look at it, they're like, oh, that's an animal, and I can't do goddamn shit to talk to it. All I can do is escape from it, because I can't reason with it. Oh god, I just remembered when the T-Rex looks down and they flash the flashlight at it and its fucking pupil dilates. Fuck, that's so good. Sorry, god, I just remembered that. I was like, and you're like, oh god, that's alive. That's one of the things that they were like, oh, that's alive. Which is, it's such a subtle little thing, but it works so well. And yes, could they do that with CG? Yeah. Is it fucking sick that they did that with a puppet? Fuck yeah, it is. And I don't know how well, if they had done it with CG, I don't know how well it would have held up. because there is some CG in that movie. I think many of those dinosaurs are CG, and some of them look kind of goofy. So,
yeah,
what were you gonna say before I interrupted you?
Oh, I was just getting into like all of the shit that went down in the Jaws film set.
Please do. I want to hear about it.
I'm trying to see if I can like make it shorter and not like rambling. I'm just like looking at Wikipedia articles and reading trivia and stuff. The shark is named Bruce. It was named after Steven Spielberg's lawyer.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
They named it after that. It kept on breaking down, but that wasn't like the only thing that was going wrong. It was just like a troubled shoot from the beginning. They went like way over budget. The budget was like $4 million, and then it ended up costing them $9 million. Because of the problems with the sharks.
Oh.
So his disgruntled crew members gave the film the nickname Flaws. Let's see. There was like all the stuff with filming at sea, like this unwanted sailboats came into frame all the time. The cameras got wet. And then the Orca, which is the boat that they are all on, the last third of the film began to sink with the actors on board. The actors were getting seasick. Robert Shaw, who plays Quint, had to went to Canada whenever he could because of tax problems. He was like binge drinking, and like he and Richard Dreyfuss like hated each other irrationally. Mm-hmm. So that was happening with Roy Scheider in the background, just being like, "Oh my god,"
just like in the movie.
Just like in the movie. So there's all of these things going wrong. Because the mechanical sharks were so unreliable that, I mean, many people know this, but that forced them to shoot many of the scenes where the shark does attack people in a way that, like, you don't actually see it. It's just hinted at. Shooting from, for example, the shark's perspective, like at the beginning of the film, looking from the shark's point of view underneath a person's body. Just seeing a fin, just seeing it from above over the water and only seeing parts of it. So that it just kind of, you never actually really see the full thing until like the bigger boat moment at the last third of the film.
Yes.
So it becomes something kind of completely different, and therefore, incidentally, better that way. It just becomes a different movie, and I think a more iconic movie that way. So maybe it was just meant to happen. I'm trying to see what the cut this air. Oh yeah, 3 mechanical Bruces were made, each with specialized functions. One shark was opened on the right side, one was opened on the left side, and the third was fully skinned, and they each approximately cost $250,000. And when it was built, they never tested it in the water, which seems like something you should do. So when they put it in the water, finally, when they're at Martha's Vineyard, it sank straight to the ocean floor, and a bunch of divers had to go and get it. So it's that kind of thing where, like, you know, sometimes the obvious isn't meant to happen, I guess. That's a really, silly way of putting it, but Jaws worked so much better because it wasn't what they were expecting it to be, which is kind of fun. Sometimes a movie is good because it turns out exactly how you wanted it to be, and sometimes you start a movie with no script and no shark and like 3 actors, and you have no idea what you're doing, and
2 of the actors hate each other.
And 2 of the actors hate each other, and sailboats keep like coming into your movie when they not supposed to be there, and it ends up being the first summer blockbuster. So there you go.
And then you have a fucking cinematic classic. So
yeah, there you go.
How about that?
It happens. Yeah.
Hey, you know what's a good example of CG?
Yes.
Paddington. Sorry, I just scrolled up in the dog and I was thinking about Paddington. I was like, oh, I love that. I love that little man.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's a very good boy.
He's so good. What if Paddington had been a puppet? Do you think that would have been fucked up, actually?
I don't know if that would have worked.
I don't know how I would feel about Paddington being a little mechanical puppet man.
There's a very interesting thing where, like, I talked about this later, I think, down my bullet point where I say why Muppet Yoda is my homie and why CG Yoda is my enemy.
Yeah, we can go there next.
Yeah, Paddington is meant to be the protagonist, and we're meant to empathize with him. And so having him, first of all, casting Ben Whishaw, greatest actor of his generation,
Genius.
or whatever,
Yes, of course,
as Paddington is like the first step, and then I think it's imbuing him in the way that you can with CG a little bit more than puppetry can do sometimes, with a sort of human expression and emotion to his to what he does. And he becomes more of a, people, I think critics have already said this about the Paddington movies, but he's a very Chaplin-esque, kind of Keaton-esque figure, like silent film star, like a little scamp and everything goes wrong. And there's a lot of like physical comedy hijinks that he has to fix, but you have to have an expressive face.
You have to have you gotta have an expressive bear to pull that off.
Yes, exactly. If he was a puppet, I don't know if they could do that as much, although he would have been very cute, I'm sure. But when it's like the opposite with Yoda, where like the fact that Yoda moves like that and looks like that, puppet Yoda, is like perfect for Yoda because he's not quite right, and he's an old as shit, so he should move kind of weird and like jilted and slow janky, and kind of alien. Yeah, exactly.
Counterpoint.
Yes.
Kermit the Frog is a puppet.
Yes. And he's my best friend.
And we do love Kermit the Frog.
But let's see. What is it about Kermit?
I think part of it is that he's a hand. Which is because like I am gonna go further with that. Yes, but the sentence he's a hand really just kind of got me in a way I wasn't expecting. Because you could do so much more fine expression work because you've got 4 digits in there. Oh god, this is falling apart. You know what I mean though, right? No, like you could make him more expressive, because rather than using a puppet that's like Yoda, where there's not like a hand in there, they're using like wires or whatever. I don't remember the actual phrase for what those are, but they're using something like that, which you could be delicate with, but it's just gonna move a little different. Whereas like having, there's a fucking hand in there, you could do pretty fine-tuned movement with your fingers. Yeah. So that's why Kermit can make such amazing expressions. Yeah. Which I don't think you'd be able to do something like that with Paddington, just because of the way Kermit is specifically shaped to be a hand puppet, which is why they could do that. Paddington is not. Yeah. I don't think they would have been able to do that with Paddington T-Bear.
Yeah, and there's something it's a different kind of comedy too, if for me, if that makes sense. Like there's a specific kind of a funny thing that Muppets faces do, which is so funny. Exactly. Yeah. Which like it was just also like extremely hard to do. Speaking of somebody who had to do hand puppetry like that for a comedic
hand puppets are super hard, actually.
It's like really difficult. I had a hand puppet that was my good friend, and it was just really, really difficult to do. But and also like this is sort of a tangent, but the guy who directed our Commedia dell'arte show, we were talking about the use of puppetry in this, and he was saying like that's why like Avenue Q to him doesn't really work, because you see the actors as well as seeing the puppets. Like the reason that the Muppets are so funny and why we buy that, even when we like know that they're puppets, is because we just see them. But with Avenue Q, it's like, we're humans operating the puppets, and so we're looking at the actors. We just are.
Yeah, you lose some of the joke in there, because they're like joking too hard about the fact that they're clearly puppets, that you then lose the ability to take the puppet part seriously at all.
Yeah, exactly. If you were meant to take it seriously, I don't really know what. I mean, I don't
know what the point of the puppets in Avenue Q is. Why aren't the actors just dressed like puppets? That's just what they should have done.
It's just to be ironic about Sesame Street.
Oh yeah, that.
I don't know. As Griffin McElroy would say, that's South Park.
I was gonna be like, oh, that sounds very humorous.
Love it.
So Star Wars. While we're talking about Muppet Yoda, you're so right. You know what the deal with CG Yoda is? He's too goddamn serious.
Yes, it's true.
I think Yoda, they ended up being like, oh, Yoda's he's, a master Jedi. And it's like, Muppet Yoda is a master Jedi and a serious dude and, like, a good mentor. Also a fucking nutter and a Muppet. Like, those two things in balance, I think, are actually kind of important. And the fact that they were like, he looks real, it's just, I don't know. And also, the problem with a lot of the CG in the Star Wars movies is it just hasn't aged super great. So you got it now. At the time, I remember being like, whoa, what the fuck? And now I'm like, man, alright. Like, he's fine.
Yeah.
But Star Wars has great practical effects.
Yes. I think what the issue, before we talk about more Star Wars, is that, like, he's serious. Yet Muppet Yoda does not have very many facial expressions. He has, like, mysterious expressions. He has, like, expressionless... His eyes get big, and that's, like, kind of it. Like, he has, like, a look of intense focus or whatever, and those are kind of the only expressions that he has. To see him actually frowning is kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Why the frogman frown?
It's a little too... Why you said? It's a little too intense.
Yeah.
Yoda is supposed to be... He feels pretty... Not ambivalent, but, when you first meet him as Luke, what the fuck does that mean?
When you're Luke in the Choose Your Own Adventure Star Wars movies, yes.
Yeah, when you're Luke, you're Luke.
When you're Luke,
but
you're Luke.
when you as the viewer first meet him, you don't know shit about this dude. He's a weird frog man living in a swamp, and he's like beating up this robot, and he's trying to steal Luke's food, and it's like, what is his fucking deal? And you don't ever know really what his deal is, besides he's a Jedi Master, and you're like, what is even your background? And he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna die on purpose now. Leia's your sister, eat shit.
You just described that entire plot point from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi perfectly.
No, because if I had done it perfectly, I also would have managed to work in there. My favorite text post about Yoda, which is like, when he's trying to get Luke to calm down, Luke's like, this is great and all, but I'm like trying to become a Jedi so I can like save the universe, and Luke's like, too much of his father. It's like, he just turned on your 5-alarm chili, Yoda, please relax. You turned on your 5-alarm chili and Yoda's getting war flashbacks. Anyway. Oh, God.
What a real bitch.
God, I love Yoda so fucking
Pour
much.
one out for a real one, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about other stuff. One of my favorite things in the prequels is in Phantom Menace specifically, they have the pod racing scene. That pod racing scene that everybody likes so much.
Yeah, the pod racing. I don't remember the pod racing scene at all. I only remember the video game that my cousin played at the pod racing scene. Is that basically the same thing? Okay, cool.
I think so. Actually, the way the pods look actually still looks pretty sick. They did do a pretty good job with the CG on that. But the crowd in the pod racing scene is all painted Q-tips that they've got set up over like some box fans to get them to wave in that way. And then they've built a really tiny set and then just filmed it all the way out. So that's why you can't really tell. They just kind of look like ambiguous shapes. And it's like, that's amazing. That looks so good. That's such
hysterical.
That's such a low budget practical effect. That works great.
Yeah.
And then you got shit like, why does Jar Jar Binks look like that though? Like,
why did he look like that?
I said in here that Jar Jar Binks should have been a costume a la the Del Toro costumes, and I think I'm right. I think there should have been a person in there.
I think here's the thing. I think ultimately what should have happened with Jar Jar Binks is that he should not have come into existence at all.
I disagree. I love Jar Jar Binks, but
I
understand that I do deserve to die for this opinion, but I will stand by it.
To die. It's as a character, I'm sure he has his uses. The way he is presented is extremely worrisome. But that is just one of the many fun things about. Can you hear my dog?
No, I cannot hear the young master.
Okay, good. he's barking.
Troublesome,
One of the many
man.
things that's, problems with, some aspects of Star Wars. That's in Jar Jar is just, one of those things.
Yes. He's here's the thing I'll say about Jar Jar. He's not as bad as some things. Which boy, the bar is real low, but in terms of bad caricatures for races, he's not as far down the list as he maybe could be, which is boy, Star Wars, hate to know ya. But like first of all, imagine if all the aliens in Star Wars weren't racist, because almost all of them are.
Yes.
Imagine.
But
then secondly, what if all of them were people in practical makeup or costumes like the Twi'leks are? That would be fucking sick.
Would have been great. Would be great.
Would have been good. Should more people in costumes, please?
Yeah.
That good ones. Let me be specific.
Yes.
Because people in bad costumes looks bad appropriately. But if they had done some like really well done, good sense. If they had done some good costumes, could have been real good.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, this is a brief jump back, which hopefully will transition into another talk about movies, unless you have something else you want to say about Star Wars.
Nah.
Oh, the matte painters, sorry, also the original trilogy, the people who did the seeds where they just painted on fucking glass.
Yeah.
God, those people are heroes, and those seeds look so good.
So dope.
Fuck yeah. But, you know who what else also would not have worked if it had been a puppet instead of a CG person is Smeagol. If that had not been Andy Serkis just crawling around on some rocks, that probably would not have worked so good.
Yeah, it's weird about that, how that works. I wonder why.
I think part of it is because the way he moves, and we'll talk about this with other movies, is so lifelike. I think that delicate movement would have been super hard to execute with a puppet. And also you would have been able to tell that he was a puppet. The longer, the farther away we get from Lord of the Rings, the more you can look at, especially if you're watching on a really big TV, the more you can look at Smeagol and be like, yeah, he doesn't quite fit in with everything else here.
Yeah.
He's a little off. But it still looks super good. And he moves. Andy Serkis is so good. We all know this. But he moves in such a way that is very lifelike that I think would have been really hard to execute with a puppet of some kind. Especially the way, like, the places they were putting him to, they would have had to have him, like, situated in specific ways to even move a puppet, and I think that just would have ended up probably looking stilted in some ways. So CG does have its uses. There are times when it's, like, very specific. Oh, God, sorry. I also just remembered when you can tell the difference between Gollum and Smeagol.
Yeah.
That's something that they would not have been able to do, probably.
Yeah. Or it would have taken a really long time.
Yes, or they would have had to have a secondary puppet that they would have had to swap between.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
It's the only way. I'm looking down at, like, the witches, because I've been thinking about, like, obviously that's a Henson production. Not, he didn't direct it, but he did the special effects for it. And obviously there's the infamous The Grand High Witch prosthetics, which are terrifying and horrible. But the thing that always used to fuck me up right good in The Witches when I was a kid, and I watched it all the time, was the mouse transformation sequence, especially the one that Bruno goes through, which is just horrifying to look at. And I don't know, I can't find any information just from, like, a cursory glance on the internet how they did it. I assume that what they must have done is just gradually had different phases of, like, mouse makeup and had him do, like, a weird transformation thing with him, like, shaking his body in that horrible, terrible way, and then sped up the camera somehow, and then gradually put more and more prosthetics on his body. Like, that's the only way that I can think of. It sounds convoluted, so I don't know if that's how they did it, but it's really horrifying to look at still. If you don't have a body horror problem and you're interested in what that looks like and are 50-50 on being able to sleep tonight, I would suggest people listening to go look that up on YouTube. It's just so horrible, but yeah, Anyway, it's fun to theorize about that kind of stuff because there is like for Alien, which I have up here, and 2001, like I was able to find some information about that with a quick Googie McGoogerson, and just like a good old Googerino, like the baby alien, the baby that comes out of John Hurt's stomach, the chest burster. Like that's a puppet. Also horrifying because of how
that's not an
fast
actual baby in a costume.
No, it's not an actual baby in a costume.
Fucked up. Fucked up.
Which is like, it's obviously like horrible because it happens so quickly when it does happen, but like I don't know if people remember to like after it crawls out of his stomach, it like zooms out of the room, and it's like
yes, which as someone who didn't watch that until I was probably in my like early to mid 20s, at the time I was like, I absolutely understand why this was so scary when this first came out. Seeing it now, it's kind of funny how fast that bitch moves.
Yeah, you zoom. Got the zoomies.
He's got the zoomies, and he fucking gets out of there.
He's like, it's not the place for me.
Me leaving a video call meeting. Like, I get it. But yes,
the floor after on my lunch break. Yeah, I understand.
I get it. Yeah, but God, at the time, I could only imagine how fucking terrifying that was to see in the theater. Just like, oh God, why does it move like that?
I mean, the real terror, of course, as we have here is the alien itself, which is the chest burster.
So good.
Just he grew up, and because like part of the reason, as we're saying, is like that the costume is so thorough and the design for it is so terrifying and truly alien. It's like nothing looks like that. But also having it be some dude in a costume makes it more horrifying because it just like it moves like us kind of, but also it's not us at all, and it's doing really horrifying things with its teeth, which you kind of also like connect when we talk about Doug Jones and his work in a lot of Guillermo del Toro's movies, like in like Pan's Labyrinth. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And he's not even like, I mean, he is kind of a villainous character, even though his like stance in the story is kind of ambiguous, but like, he's so creepy to look at sometimes because he's not human, clearly, but just enough.
You're talking about Doug Jones in like the
as the fawn.
That's the fawn. Isn't he also the hand-eye thing?
He's also the hand-eye thing, which is worse. You're right. I for some reason, like, completely forgot about that.
He does a few different things. Who was in the alien suit?
Oh, hang on. I Googled it.
Because they've done a few other things, and they are all pretty scary, if I recall. I'm looking at Doug Jones's movies
alien
right now.
Costume dude. Who is the dude?
Who was that? Yes, Doug Jones is the fawn and the pale man in Pan's Labyrinth.
Bolaji Badejo? Is that it?
Hold on, I just fucking remembered that Doug Jones plays the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie, and the Silver Surfer is voiced by Lawrence Fishburne.
Huh.
That's so weird that keeps happening. That there's so many things where Doug Jones will be the body and then somebody will dub over. That's so wild. That's a thing that happens. Anyway, sorry.
No, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, so forgive me there. I can't see a pronunciation on Wikipedia, but Bolaji Badejo?
Yeah.
And he was a visual artist and actor, and the alien was his only role, actually.
Oh, but like what a role.
Yeah, he died quite young. I don't know if he would have maybe done more. Oh, he was 6 feet 10 inches.
Yeah, I believe that sounds right. Sorry, I'm reading the Wikipedia page for Alien right now. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I was going to pronounce this with a Spanish accent. He was Nigerian, so I do not believe that I would be using the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
Discovered in a bar by a member of the casting team. 7 feet inside the costume. Yeah, man.
Horrifying.
What an amazing look that thing has. I always forget that the alien is so big, and that's part of the reason why it's so scary. It it is improbably big. It is long in all the wrong ways, and it moves in a way that is both familiar and disorienting.
Yeah. It's uncanny in the best way.
So good. Yeah, do we want to go to horror movies really quick, or we want to hop back to Lord of the Rings? I feel like Lord of the Rings will be a good segue into more CG stuff.
Sure.
My only, really, the big other thing I have for horror movies is I have The Thing, which I've talked about before. I talked about it for our horror episode. But there's a couple moments in The Thing. I think it's all practical. When did The Thing come out? The 80s?
82?
I don't remember. 82,
I think.
Yeah. The dog, the first time the dog just goes fucking wild, and it, like, bursts into this Silent Hill ass monster. Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah.
It's so gross and weird and bad to look at, and it's so well done. And, I mean, now that I'm thinking about Silent Hill, the Silent Hill movies are fine, or whatever. But they're basically all CG, and thinking about those... Are there dogs in those movies? Thinking about the Silent Hill effects versus the Thing effect, I'm like, the Thing effect just looks so much scarier. I think because it is... You can tell that it is real, that they made something real, even if you're like, well, I know that that's like a puppet or whatever, but you're like, but it looks... You can tell that it is a real puppet. It's close enough that you're like, oh, God. It's just a little bit more, like, than something that you can tell is CG, because you're like, well, I know that isn't real.
Right.
There are some CGs where you're like, that looks real, especially these days, where, like, that looks real enough that, like, you can kind of suspend your disbelief easier. But for anything, basically, until, I would say, like, the 2010s, there are large swaths of it where you'd be like, I can tell that this is CG. I think that's part of the reason why practical effects in horror movies are so effective, because even if you can tell it's not real, it's close enough, is closer than the CG, and it usually ages better. So if you go back and watch stuff from like the late 90s, early 2000s with CG, you're like, this didn't age super great.
That's kind of like with Fright Night, how we mentioned here, like they do the original prosthetics and makeup in Fright Night is horrifying to look at, and then they try and duplicate it in the Fright Night remake, which came out about, like, I don't know, like 30 years later, just about, not quite.
Yeah. I think it was 2012, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, 1985, 95, so yeah, so something like almost 30 years. So they try and make it look kind of like the original design, because the original concept for them is really scary. But
scary.
But the original is, like, still scarier because of how pasted on it looks. Like, it doesn't quite, especially for his girlfriend, it doesn't quite look like it belongs on her face, which is why it's so scary. It looks like it's been, this sort of thing is, like, living there, and it looks, like, really grotesque and, like, punctured and like it's about to tear her skin apart. And so that makes it just all the more terrifying, whereas, like, in...
Sorry, I just looked it up, the vampires in the original Fright Night, which is why I just made that awful sound.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I think she's almost worse.
She for sure is.
Yeah,
because it looks like it is coming out of her skin.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh God, they're so scary. Oh God,
yeah,
they're scary in the remake too. But especially her, once again, she is very scary in the remake.
Yes.
But you could look at that and think 10 years from now, this probably will not look as good as it does. Whereas those practical effects, as we just found out when I just Googled it in 2020, looking at it now, I was like, oh God, that's so awful. That's so awful to look at.
Just not right. She has it's kind of with her mouth zone. It's kind of like
It looks like her skin is, like, peeling away from the mouth, like it's bursting out of her face. It's awful.
And it's, like, actively bleeding. Yeah, it's awful and terrifying.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I'm looking at a picture, too, of, like, the CGI version, and it's, like,
It does not look as scary.
They tried, but her face all kind of goes funny, and it like her real face isn't.
It's
under
uncanny.
theirs,
yeah.
So the effect is less grotesque. Now just looking at these pictures.
Yeah, they're so. If you have the guts for it, look up Fright Night original vampire. Oof.
Oof to oof.
Boy, they're scary. I like horror, and there's not a lot that bugs me, but, like, God, especially vampire movies, no, not an issue for me. I think about that sometimes. The remake I think about sometimes, I'm just like, oh, God. Looking at that now, I'm like, oh, man. Just think about it. Speaking of things that sometimes I just think about, this is not a horror movie. Indiana Jones, the first one, not a horror movie, but that moment where their faces melt off, fucked me up as a kid. I was like, oh God! As an adult, I literally, as I was typing out the note in the document, I finally figured out how they did that, or I think I did. I can guess about how they do it, and it looks like it's wax melting or something.
Right, like they made a model of their faces and then they melted
and then melted it and then sped up the footage so it melts like super fast. Yeah. But like it's so evocative. And it's like, yes, on one level it is kind of corny because it's so over the top so quickly that you're like, oh God. But you do, even though you're thinking, oh, this might be kind of corny, it does immediately evoke a like, oh.
Yeah, because it's so wrong, because faces just don't do that.
Faces don't melt like wax. They're not supposed to do that.
It's the power of God, bitches.
Yeah, that's right. Fucking put that shit back.
Yeah, put it back. Yeah, and like the Last Crusade thing, I think they did something similar. That probably was quite difficult, because I'm thinking like all the different stages that they go through, and I'm assuming that I don't think that they use CG for that moment, because there's very little CG in the Indiana Jones. Well, that's not true. The CG in the in Last Crusade specifically, which is the one that I've seen the most, is like looks bad because they were using a green screen for like the Zeppelin scenes or the little airplane scenes when him and his dad escape in a little airplane, and it looks fake as hell. But that's what they use it for. And I don't think they use it for the rapid aging that my dude goes through. I don't know what his name is, when he takes the wrong goblet and drinks from it. And he's like grabbing onto her, to Elsa, and he's like, I think they just might have made like several different models.
I just kind of like flipped through them real fast.
Yeah.
Which, boy, Last Crusade I think I've only seen once, but I do actually remember what you're talking about. I'm like, oh no, I remember that. I've seen the first one the most. I've seen it a bunch.
We should like have a Tracy's night where we watch it with each other, because I have not seen Temple of Doom at all, and I tried to like actually pretty recently, and I
have only seen Temple of Doom once, and it is my least favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, Kingdom of Skull is probably badder. Worse.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either, but Temple of Doom is rough from the get-go. Boy. Anyway, enough of that.
Last Crusade I have on DVD, so anybody wants to have a party.
We should watch it. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. Shocking. We've made it back to Lord of the Rings. But Lord of the Rings we talk about a lot. It uses a lot of CG, it uses a lot of practical. There is very little in Lord of the Rings that does not still look good. And this is the original trilogy. I think specifically the effects that they used to create an illusion of the difference between different sized peoples. Like, the thing, every time I watch Fellowship and Frodo's in the cart with Gandalf, I have seen the images of the cart where you can see that Frodo's seat is like 5 feet back from Gandalf, and that's why he looks so tiny. And every time I watch it, you can't tell.
You can't tell, yeah.
I'm like, I know that he's all the way back there, but I can't see it. I can't make my brain see that he's all the way back there. It's so amazingly shot.
It's incredibly effective, yeah.
Or when they had, oh god, what's the name of the guy that they used for the hand double for Gandalf? When Pippin looks in the Palantir. Is it...
shoot.
I think his first name's like Paul or something.
This is called Paul.
Yeah. Because his hands are so fucking big. And that's just a body double. And I remember oh my god. I'm a bad nerd. The guy, name of the guy who plays Pippin, I'm totally fucking blanking.
Billy Boyd.
Thank you. Billy Boyd,
the dude I
later talking
about. Yeah.
Yes, I love Billy Boyd. Sorry. But I remember, sorry, Billy Boyd, dude who listens to our podcast, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
But I remember there's some interview where he's talking about it later, and he's like, yeah, he's such a big dude that he was, like, cradling my face, and it took everything in me not to just freak out, because he's just so goddamn big. And I just wasn't expecting it the first time I opened my eyes, you know? It's so funny. But it's so subtle you don't even think about it until you're like, oh yeah, that's not fucking Ian McKellen. And you're like, well, of course that's not. His hands aren't that big. But also, like, wow, you just don't even think about the fact that his hands are not that big.
Everything they did to suggest size was just brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, they, you know, some of the stuff they probably didn't necessarily, if they hadn't done it, you would have noticed. You would have been like, that doesn't seem right. But they did it in such a way that you don't notice. It feels very natural, which is very impressive and very hard to do. As Ezra likes to complain about fucking Thanos handing something to baby Gamora, that, like, the sizing is not right. I think doing something like that in CG can be very difficult. You know, I understand. That is not easy to do when you've got somebody who's very big and somebody who's very small and you're trying to, like, get the item to look correct. And the fact that they were like, you know, we're just going to do practical effects to just make that happen so that we don't have to guesstimate a size, essentially. Very smart move. Works great. But I will say that, like, the Balrog still looks amazing too.
Yeah,
you know,
it looks incredible.
They were able to execute a huge amount of practical effects and also were forerunners in a lot of CG effects. I think that CG has a place. I think CG is an amazing tool. Works great for Paddington Bear. Works great for Smeagol or the Balrog. Smaug is fine, if I recall. I don't think
we just say that it works great for Stuart Little.
For what?
For Stuart Little.
Oh, Stuart Little, yes. Oh, yes, I think he looks fine. But I don't think they would have been able to do Stuart Little with I said, what if Stuart Little had been just a little puppet? It wouldn't have worked, but just imagine it.
Yeah. I imagine it for the sake of you, Laurie.
Trying to put the fucking imaginary mice down.
What have we talked about?
I mean, we talked about Lord of the Rings. They did a good one on that one. Oh, I think I was talking about, like, CG can be good and sometimes is important. You mentioned The Matrix, and I was actually thinking about how the effects of The Matrix, for the most part, stand up pretty good. Did they build the set of the stuff outside of The Matrix where they're, like, in the ship?
I couldn't say.
I assume so. It looks like it is a set rather than CG.
Are you talking about with all the pods, or?
No, not the pod part. The part where, like, the main ship that they hang out in.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that was built. Yeah. I don't know I don't know actually for sure, but I think probably looks like it was.
I assume so. The pod stuff obviously is CG, but that doesn't look awful either.
No, that would almost be. I was going to say that could have also been a matte painting, but it was probably CG.
Yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? You put on there too, which is like, what a great example of real life and CG kind of put in together. The way that they had the two interact is still just, like, so amazing. I always think about that scene with the lamp, where he like ducks out of the handcuffs and, like, knocks a lamp over, which is, like, a little thing, but it's like, you know that he's in that space because of that.
Right.
Man,
it's about, like, mentioned with, like, Pirates of the Caribbean here, like, using it to tell the story. And, like, using it too much or using it, like, not in the right places isn't going to be effective. But in Pirates of the Caribbean, when they use it, it's a really effective storytelling device because the ability that the pirates have to turn into, skeleton zombies. So when Barbossa walks into the moonlight and transforms slowly like that, I think that the effects in Curse of the Black Pearl especially have aged a little bit. Like you can tell more, but I don't think there's ever a point where it's like we have to make it so that they can't tell, which I'll get into that in a second. But it's a very effective like visual storytelling, so the effects come in really handy there. I think like the point that I made up here, I started talking about like Wizard of Oz, and then I got into a whole thing because like Wizard of Oz obviously was like made in 1939, and we didn't have computers, so you couldn't do anything with that. So it's all like painted backgrounds and like studio sets and makeup and prosthetics, some of which were terrible for the actors' skin and like resulted in them having to replace actors because people were allergic to the paint and everything. And that's bad. Yeah. But it's like it's fake and it doesn't look real, and that's meant to be like that, and it works really well. It gives it a very theatrical feel, which is appropriate since like film it's a combination of many different kinds of art, but it came out of theater. And it reminded me like of something that Leah said when we were watching Into the Woods, which like obviously this was a Broadway show, directed by James Klein, and like Stephen Sondheim wrote the music for it. It was obviously had a generous budget, I am sure, and was a very big hit, won many Tonys. The budget, I think, really went, a lot of that went to the set and to the construction of it. I'm sure quite a bit of it went to the costumes, but she says that something about the costumes that she really appreciated was that they kind of looked like they came out of a community theater closet. They don't really, they're kind of cheap looking and kind of, and like, not very impressive, but it works for what it is. And that reminded me of like, when we're talking about Cats and how much better the stage show works than the movie, because there's no pretension to like, we don't really think that they're cats. We don't. No. I mean, maybe there are some very, very small children who go to Cats that are like, oh my God, those cats are dancing. But I don't even think a small child is thinking that, because usually a child has seen a real cat and knows what a real cat looks like. Yes. It's very cool, and I understand the compulsion. It's very innovative to want to make things look as real as possible, but like there's a certain like kind of theatrical magic in simple things like practicals and prosthetics and painted backgrounds, and people in cat jumpsuits with cat makeup, because I for me personally, I don't know if this is how it is for everyone, but I don't think that the point of film or theater is to convince us wholeheartedly that something is real, because real is not the same thing as believable. I don't like when we go to the theater. I know that I'm going to the theater. I'm making the choice to go see a show. I know it's not real. It's the same thing for when I go to see a movie. It's not about making us forget that the thing is imaginary. It's about sweeping us in anyway, even while we know that the thing isn't real. I don't know if this is anything, but I wrote down, it's art, not a Turing test. We don't have to be convinced that it's like, I don't know, virtual reality or something. Like people are saying that, some people are saying that, what if virtual reality stuff eclipses film as a mode of entertainment. And I just don't think that that's something that's going to happen, because it's not the same thing. So I feel like that those movies that use that kind of simple approach sometimes, and movies that use CG really effectively and use it to tell a story and use it to serve the story that they're telling, are where the real successes are, not just the movies that are using it to prove that they can make something look as real as possible.
Yes, agreed.
So, yeah. Anyway.
That
was my long rant inspired by The Wizard of Oz. I also have something in here about Sherlock Jr. We mentioned Buster Keaton. at the very beginning. And there's a movie called Sherlock Jr. that he did in 1924 that there's an effect that involves a fence and a suitcase in that movie that I still don't even know how it is done. I can't even tell how it works. He's running from the police or something, and he jumps into a suitcase and he comes back out somewhere else. And it's like, how? I don't understand how you did that. And of course he was constantly doing his own stunts and like risking his life every day to like do something stupid and unnecessary. And I love him for that.
And we love and respect him because God, that shit ain't easy.
Shit ain't easy. Mm-mm. But yeah, what else? Jim Carrey?
You have not talked about 2001: A Space Odyssey yet.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have not seen, but I know is a technical fucking wonderland.
Yeah, I found I found a website called, like, that's dedicated to 2001. It's called the 2001 Archive, I guess. That talks about the effects, and it's all practical. That was made in 1969. And of course, Kubrick, being the person that he is, wanted it all to look as real as fucking possible. No slip-ups. So what they did was it was one of the first films, apparently, and I'm quoting, to use front projection, which is a technique where photography is projected from the front of the set onto a reflective surface. So the prehistoric Africa scenes at the very beginning are filmed at the studio, and then second unit photography projected onto a screen behind the actors measuring 40 feet by 90 feet to provide the illusion of an outdoor scene. So similar to kind of the matte painting technique, but using photography. The more traditional technique of rear projection was reserved mainly for the many video displays and computer monitors that appeared in the film. The infamous Stargate sequence towards the end, where it's just this guy going through a stream of whirling lights and colors, which is similar to a sequence in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which was also the visual effects for that were also done by the same guy, Douglas Trumbull. When Spock mind melds with V'ger, it's a machine called the slit scan, which allowed the filming of two seemingly infinite planes of exposure. Additional effects for the sequence were created applying different colored filters to aerial landscape footage and filming interacting chemicals, which is like wild, and I have no idea
amazing
how to do that. I mean, it lays it out for me, and I still wouldn't understand how that worked. There was like, to the anti-gravity stuff, they said to make a stray pen float in a weightless environment. It was attached to a rotating glass disc, simple as that. The illusion of astronauts floating in space was created by hanging stunt performers upside down with wires from the ceiling of the studio, often for hours at a time, which I'm sure was fantastic. Yeah, it's just like fucking incredible. There's so many things that you could do with practicals that like, and this doesn't even begin to cover everything in 2001, because there's also like the space station and the monolith and like all of that stuff that's in there. Yeah. That was just a way of talking about 2001: Space Odyssey. There's no real point to that.
No, but it's definitely a way to showcase how interesting and creative being. I don't want to say limited, but that is kind of what I mean. Limited to practical effects.
Yeah.
It is amazing what you can then do. CG is great because CG opens the opportunities for things that you can do, but practical is great because it requires you to think within limited boundaries to do really amazing stuff. I think both of them can be very cool in very different ways.
Yeah.
But it is amazing hearing about, like, here's how we did this thing using only practical effects, and it's like, whoa, holy shit, I don't even understand how you did that.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. You mentioned here using only real locations for the fall.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's amazing looking at so many of those places, because you're like, that can't be a real place. And all of them are. You could go to those places feasibly. I guess maybe not, but, you know, in an ideal world, you could go to all of those places.
Yeah.
Which, talk about something that's understated, especially for sci-fi movies, I think. Doing alien planets, there are so many goddamn strange places on this earth that you could go to.
Yeah.
I think there's something to really be said for using a actual filming on location. rather than filming in a set. Though there are some things that like filming in a set I think works super great. But boy, like, is there something not just exceedingly cool about filming in a weird location?
Yeah, my dad and I were rewatching the original series Star Trek right now, and of course we like to make fun a little bit of the sets from time to time because they do just like beam down from a planet, and it's like,
yeah, sure,
this is a planet of rocks, and you're like, this is the same planet from this place, but the light filter is different. It's like, this is a rocky planet with styrofoam rocks, but the color is purple. This is a planet with rocks, but the color of the sky is orange.
Yeah, God bless it.
But they make up for it, and I think especially later on, of course, they make up for it with the amazing makeup and prosthetics that they largely use.
Star Trek is a sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Star Trek has a lot of great prosthetics. It always has. Their makeup has always been just out of the park.
Fresh to death, yeah. I think later on they were more committed to making it just wild. I was actually talking about this a little bit because I was on Twitter because I was rewatching an episode of Next Generation. That was an incredibly horny episode of Next Generation, like most episodes of Star Trek are. And it was one where like Worf has an old girlfriend come and visit the starship, and they have energy. And I was thinking about like how Star Trek is always like committed to having super like weird looking aliens later on with very heavy prosthetics and fake foreheads and fake everything, and still being like, oh yeah, and they fuck, like for sure they fuck. Also they're horny. They fuck. Yeah. And also they're horny all the time. I just really love that because that is the one thing about like original series is that there's less of that kind of like most of the aliens still do look pretty normal, and you're like, yes, these are the Telosians actually look pretty fucked up. They have really, really huge foreheads and look like cone heads. But like for the most part, this is like, these are the so-and-sos and they're aliens, but they look like us, exactly like us. And so later on, they're just like, that probably wouldn't happen as much. So this one is looks kind of fucked up about the the arm bits. Something's not quite right somewhere, which I think is really fun. So, and they're still horny. Most importantly,
they're still horny. That's Star Trek for you.
That's Star Trek.
Yeah, what's Star Trek about? Well, it's about kind of coming together as a community. It's about politics. It's about kind of moral choices and who we are as people. It's about being horny.
It's about being horny on a holodeck. Yeah.
I think it's a very... God, I love Star Trek so fucking much.
It's about cosplaying Sherlock Holmes with your best friend, and then letting a holographic Moriarty gain sentience and leave the spaceship on a whatchamacallit, those little... Oh my god, I can't think of the
escape
names.
Room?
Not the escape room, but... Not an escape room, a shuttlecraft. Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. I have not seen this episode, so this was me trying to backwards guess what this episode was about.
No.
Based on things that you have vaguely told me about it. I thought you were trying to say, like, the escape room is the ship and they all have to get off.
No.
I just wrote a Star Trek episode.
I can't remember if it's the same episode, but there's at least one episode where Data and Geordi are cosplaying Sherlock Holmes in the holodeck. And Moriarty, they tried let's make it harder because I'm an android and I'm smart. So Moriarty gains sentience and he escapes from the holodeck, and then they have to get rid of him by making him think that he's on a shuttlecraft and escaping the ship because that's the only way that they can get rid of Moriarty. It's fucking awesome. I love Star Trek so much.
Star Trek's very good.
It's very good. How about that Jim Carrey, though?
Oh, God, okay. So, the bad side of practical effects is what they did to Jim Carrey in The Grinch. It looks very, very bad and very good in that technically it is amazing what they were able to do to that man with makeup. He looks like the fucking Grinch in real life. It was not worth it because it is Uncanny Valley and I hate looking at him. I've never seen that movie and I refuse to, Madeline's the one who likes that movie. I'm sorry, Madeline. I love you so much, and we have agreed that I cannot see this movie because it makes me too uncomfortable to look at him because he looks too real. And also, he spent 3 hours in a chair just getting that shit on, and that is not worth it. Not worth it. I hate looking at him.
It's very, very bad.
It's so awful.
I really do not want to watch that movie again. I
hate the way his hands move.
Be forced to. I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but like the only time I went to see that movie in the theaters because I was a small child. I was a small child. I was but a small child. And I had the only thing that I remember about it besides disliking it was that I had sour gummy worms. And it made me so sick because I ate the sour gummy worms so fast inside the movie theater, and like that combined with like having to look at that was like one of the worst theatrical experiences of my life. I think that like, you know, they're trying
that
to
movie
make it
is
look like
20 years old this year.
So is like my trauma. Yeah, it's bad.
20 years of trauma.
I what I wrote down here is true. I think that hell, if you go to hell, it'll just be that you wake up in the morning and you realize it's 5 o'clock and you have to be on set in an hour because you're the makeup artist for Jim Carrey and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's 2000 or 2001, and you're gonna have to do Mr. Jim Carrey's makeup, and
he's gonna be mean to you.
Be responsible for what that is going to do to him and to you and to everyone.
To society.
Hell. It's hell.
That's where you go when you die if you're bad.
I truly believe that, and I think that also that's the only belief system I have. And I also think that like it's fucked up because they tried to make him look like a cartoon character and be like really commit to that, and it's like people don't look like cartoon characters though. They're not supposed to look like that. They're supposed to look like, I mean, not that.
Hey, you fucking remember the Cat in the Hat movie?
You mean, do I remember the trailer on, like, the Peter Pan DVD that I have, which is the only footage from the Cat in the Hat movie that I've seen, because I cannot see that movie or I will die in 7 days, like The Ring?
Is he wearing makeup in that movie?
Yeah,
is that CG? Sure. Did they learn from their mistakes?
No.
No, I'm looking at the photos again. I hate the way he looks. He looks like the cats from Cats.
It happened too soon after How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They didn't have time to learn from their mistakes.
It was in 2003. They had 3 to 4 years to figure out that it was bad the first time. Tim Allen was originally cast in the title role, and then they gave it to Mike Myers.
Either way, it's bad. Either way, they would have... I think arguably with Tim Allen, it would have been worse because he doesn't have the chaotic energy to convince me that he is a cat wearing a hat. Yes. Mike Myers, I would believe that secretly underneath his human suit, that he was that underneath. I would believe that. It terrifies me to think about it, but I believe it. Yes. Tim Allen, I'm like, underneath, he's just like, you know, maybe he slips off his human suit and he's just his character from Home Improvement. That's the extent to which I'm willing to believe.
Who's not human. We can agree that character's not human. This is a fun fact that Wikipedia just handed me. Following the film's release, Seuss's widow, Audrey Geisel, is that how you say the last name?
I think so, yeah.
Apologies to the Seuss estate. Decided not to allow any subsequent live-action adaptations of Seuss's work to be produced.
Yeah.
Saving all of us in the process, to which a sequel based on the second book, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, was cancelled. They were gonna do another one, and she said, no, I must save all the people. Okay. I will save all of their fucking lives by saying you can't do this shit anymore.
What if they tried to do that with, like, an adaptation of Seussical the Musical? Like, what if that happened? Because I was thinking of, like, before you said Cat in the Hat 2, I was like, what were they gonna do? Were they gonna do, like, the fucking Sneetches? Were they gonna make, like, the Sneetches and get these...
They were gonna do...
And, like, elongate their necks and...
They were gonna do... They're gonna do all the places you can go. But they were gonna add, like, a fucking subplot about, like... I don't know, like, war, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. God.
What fucks me up is that I'm pretty sure the fish in Cat in the Hat is CG.
Yeah, the cat is, or sorry, the fish is. I am fairly certain. If the fish is not, I have some very serious questions about the production of that movie.
I can't.
The fish looks real bad. Yeah,
the fish looks terrible. I was gonna post it in the Discord if I found it, but I actually can't do that to anyone. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
God! Oh, why does he look like that?
He doesn't look like fish, nor man, nor beast.
Why is eyes so big?
Nor God, nor the devil.
Oh, boy, howdy.
Wow, that's bad.
Oh,
that's
boy.
So bad.
Okay, alright. Yeah.
So, God, how to end some.
Talk about a 2003 movie we absolutely skipped over in our 2003 episode. We just looked at that and thought, no.
Wonder why.
We blocked it out of our fucking memories.
Wonder why. I'm trying to find something from Peter Pan, which came out in 2003, which would help us to end on a positive note.
I have a couple notes while you're looking that up.
Sure.
Things that we missed that I want to mention. One of them is that CG can be really good sometimes, because the ghosts in Crimson Peak were real fucking scary. And I think that would have been something that would have been hard to do with practical effects, and it was more effective to do with CG, because it both looks like real and not real in a way that is very scary. Which is perfect for, like, fucking horrible hell ghosts, so CG is worth it sometimes, and sometimes you can have it with practical effects. Were there practical effects in Crimson Peak? I don't remember. I don't think there was really anything that needed practical effects, so...
I'm trying to find information on special effects in Peter Pan, and I'm just seeing pictures of a shirtless Jason Isaacs as Captain Hook, and that's not helping me focus, so...
That is distracting. My last note was I was going to say, bring back doing mechanical puppet stuff. Because those are pretty sick, and they're cool to look at, and I love them, and I love to learn about them. And, you know, maybe my dream job is to run mechanical puppets for movies.
They're my best friends.
I think that'd be fun.
That whips. You should do that.
Yep. When we were watching Jaws, I love sharks. Have a fish phobia, love sharks. Don't ask me about it. I don't know. But the entire time I kept being like, oh, it's my friend. I love the shark. My best friend, the shark. And then the shark was very scary, and I was like, oh shit, that's scary as fuck, though. And then it would go back underwater, and I'd be like, oh, my friend, my baby.
Where's he going?
Where's he going?
Where's he going? He's gonna go kill somebody.
Oh, the baby.
Oh, he's gonna go kill
the shark baby.
25 feet long.
Big baby. Yeah, so that's kind of my ending note, is like, that's not something that we really do anymore, probably because it's, like, super expensive and not super practical, if we're just thinking about Bruce as an example. But God, do they
walk water, too, but...
Yes. Do they look good, and do they hold up super well.
Yeah. Well, and I think that they did...
fucking Little Shop of Horrors. You didn't talk about that puppet.
Oh, I didn't. No, that's just, like, one of many, like, fantastic... Not if that actually wasn't Jim Henson, but he said that he knew the people who worked on it, which is cute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, fantastic. Audrey, too, the big plant in Little Shop of Horrors, is always a puppet on film or on stage, which I don't know how else
he would do it.
I can't think of, like... Yeah, it would be stupid to do it any other way.
I don't know, yeah. It would be stupid, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, shit. What was I gonna say? Oh, fuck.
Audrey 2 is always
I was gonna say Star Wars. Obviously their budget is through the roof. But Last Jedi, bringing back Yoda for that one scene, spoilers, when that was a puppet. Or at least it was a puppet with CGI in some way? Or...
I think it was a little bit of... I think it was... they filmed a puppet and then CGI'd him.
Yeah.
Because he's a ghost. So
he's a ghost.
He's a ghost.
That was great. It felt so much more like Yoda.
They learned from their fucking mistakes.
Yeah. They're like, this didn't work, did it? Which is surprising because Disney... Obviously, there's more than one creative voice on there, but Disney doesn't usually learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, Father Disney is a pretty tight fist on all of his properties. So
God, the fact that you call him that sometimes just right messes with my brain.
I'm trying to evoke a feeling of 1984. I'm trying to evoke a feeling of horror, which it works,
Yes.
I think, so.
The, Overlord.
Yeah, our terrible overlord that they're trying to convince us is, like, familial and paternal, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah. Puppets
are good.
Love practical effects. Love costume makeup, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could do some great stuff with prosthetics. Yeah, I think that's about it. We covered everything on the dock, basically, which we never do. We always miss something. The only thing we missed was you said something about American Werewolf in London, which I've never seen, so I can't say anything about it. But
I realized as I put that in there that, like, I mentioned that almost every single time. The practical effects are. Let me see if I can do a quick Google search. American Werewolf in London. Not just the.
I would like to see it though.
Yeah. Dead friend. Not just with him, but with his dead friend. So part of the thing is not too big of a spoiler. It's actually kind of a bit of body horror. So excuse me for this. I am gonna put an image in the Google Doc, and then I can delete it.
Sure.
His friend is killed, and he haunts him. And throughout the movie, he slowly starts decomposing more and more,
like Macbeth.
Every time he visits him, just like Macbeth. So this is like when he first visits him, he looks like that, and it's fucked up. And it's like really, really graphic.
Oh, that's gross! Holy shit! That looks so cool.
And then he just gets worse and worse, and like.
I'm very excited to see this final. Are you going to post another one?
I was looking for another good one, but
okay.
there's kind of a good one that I'll replace it with.
Okay.
But then also, of course, the wolf baby. Just like comes to haunt him in the mirror, and he's like, just skin, just dying.
Fuck you!
He's like, get out of here.
You're not real.
It's fucked
wow,
up.
that looks cool.
Yeah, and then there's this, like, this is just one part of it. It's all practicals with Mr. Werewolf, who's in London. The transformation sequence is just like his limbs elongating, and it's very simple, but it's also
it's
like,
very
really
Teen
effective.
Wolf.
Yeah,
in, the original Teen Wolf movie.
Very Weentolf, yeah, but not Weentolf, but actual
Teen Wolf, not Weentolf. Weentolf is the TV show. Teen Wolf is the movie. You remember when we used to do werewolves almost entirely like that, where they'd have, like, kind of human noses and, like, fleshy faces, but then they'd kind of be fuzzy everywhere else? That was always real. It's real fucked up looking when they do them like that.
Yeah.
Real scary looking.
Up. There's this one. Sorry, this is an auditory medium, and you can't see, but, like...
Me when I wake up with athlete's foot.
Yeah, me when my hand falls asleep, yeah. His limbs just get bigger, and he's watching himself transform, which is horrifying.
Yeah, which is horrifying.
But very, very fun. So American Werewolf in London. I guess the point to round this out is just, like, special effects are fun, man.
Yeah, man, they're so cool. Not to be a nerd, but they're pretty fucking cool.
They're very, very cool. It's cool to know how they work and to talk about it and to watch it be used in a cool way to help the story along. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess, is that it for this week?
I think that's it. I think we had a good solid episode.
Well, that'll be up to all of y'all to decide, I suppose.
No, I've decided it for you. This was a good episode.
Oh, okay. Everybody go and rate this episode 5 stars. Thank you for hanging out with us here on Sneeple at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come hit us up on Twitter at people_snake. I believe all of our usernames are on the bio for that one as well, if you wanted to, follow us on our individual selves on Twitter as well. Or you can shoot us an email at sneepleatthemovies@gmail.com. Our amazing music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter. I did it again with the snooper snazzy.
Snooper snazzy.
2 times I've done this recently. Our super snazzy logo was designed by Bethany Luthold. You can check her out at bethanyluthold.wixsite.com. If you've got a subject you want to hear us talk about, or a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or your favorite Doug Jones role that you want to share with us, come say hello. If you can, please leave a review on iTunes and share the show with any friends who you think would enjoy. Anything that you can do still at this point to let other people know. As we said, I think, not last episode, but the last time I recorded an outro, podcasts are still a very, person to person, like, you share it with them, and then, like, it's not going to be shown in movie theaters, thank God, our just our audio in a movie theater. So anything to help spread the news on a sort of like community theater level in a way would help us very much, and we really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.